They stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. Much thanks for always doing this with us. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I welcome you in a special way on this beautiful morning. Now, we've been following the events that are occurring back in DRC Congo, where the M23 rebels are taking over different parts of Congo, Eastern Congo, and this includes places like the city of Goma. Now, many development partners and their allies are calling, the allies of Democratic Republic of Congo are calling for the M23 rebels to stand down and desist from taking over occupied places. We've been following this story and we'll be giving you more details regarding that in our news. But there is a lot happening still here home in Uganda, and today I'm doing this with Jerome Paul Sonko. I wonder what he's been paying close attention to. Good morning, Jerome.
Well, good morning to you, Olive. I love the fact that today it's more like we decided to wear some cross-buttoned jackets in the morning, and it's a very good one, I should say.
Thank you.
And to our dear viewer, very good morning to you. Hope you're doing well, and I hope your Tuesday is going to be as bright as it should start for you. Here we are. And you've mentioned something to do with the Democratic Republic of Congo and what is happening, the crisis. And when you look at how much attention the international media has given to whatever is happening there, it really, really calls for our attention. And when you look at some of the developments coming in, do reveal that there were gunshots that were heard around the airport as the rebels, the M23 rebels, approached Goma. But then in the same regard, the central government continues to accuse Rwanda for being the chief sponsor of this. So there is so much attention when it comes to the geopolitical situation within the East African region, but then also the fact that it is in one way going to affect cross-border peace if at all the countries are not ready to keep their citizens safe in the same regard. Meaning, for Uganda's perspective, the border between Uganda and Congo has to be more safer. And I want to believe the UPDF is well aware of any possible threats. And then also, you do expect that also Rwanda is also tightening its borders. So this is looking like an escalating kind of conflict. However, we hope that it does not escalate into war or even
it's already
death.
a war back in DRC, maybe escalating into our borders. But Jerome, it's important to note that every time something like this happens in neighboring countries, being the biggest host of refugees in East Africa and Africa entirely, that means it's contributing further to the refugee problem that we already have in the country. Remember, last year, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said they were grappling to take care of the refugees that we already have. Now, look at this situation. When I saw the events occurring in Goma, the one thing that came to my mind was that we are going to increase the number of refugees in our borders.
And you know, when it comes to the issue of the refugees, I don't think we're even ready, because look at it in this way, Olive. We are facing crisis of cutting aid cuts here and there from the major donors, and I would say the major donor in the United States, meaning we are not ready for that. But we should wait and see. And we're only praying for the Democratic Republic of Congo and its people, especially those who are fleeing Goma. But then, Olive, there's also some development coming in from South Sudan, which has revealed that the government has lifted curfew that it had imposed on the citizens. From the 16th to the 17th, there were protests in South Sudan, and the government had to impose curfew to try and control the citizens there. And more developments coming in from there is that the government has finally lifted that curfew. So,
how about the internet blockage? Because the government had announced that the internet, social media, be switched off for over 30 days.
Well, on ground, surprisingly, I do have a colleague who stays there. Okay, he's South Sudanese, but he normally comes back to Uganda. He did tell me that it looked more like a threat. So I don't know whether it was fully imposed because they had given them a time frame of that. But well, if at all that comes to pass, we've seen it before, not only in South Sudan.
30 days, Jerome. For us, we've had that, yes, and it's usually during election time and for a few days. Imagine your life without social media for 30 days. Like, I'm serious. People are running businesses on social media, and it's also a way to cool off, so to speak.
As someone who spends half of my time on social media per day, I would not imagine how it would be, trust me, because I would not love that kind of development. And I'm just hoping that during the election time, we do not have such cases here in the country.
You've spoken too
I'm
early.
just hoping.
But anyway, Jerome, speaking about development partners and the aid that is being cut, I've been seeing different documents, even from colleagues of mine from the NGO world. Most of them have been ordered to cease whatever they are doing since the 24th of January up until Trump lifts the ban on foreign aid for 90 days. So it's been 85 days so far. So we don't know whether the money will still come in, whether he will lift that ban, but it doesn't look good.
You know what is interesting, Olive, is that during the election time of the United States, many Ugandans had their opinions and their thoughts on the elections. However, very few did put an eye on the foreign policy of the new president. Because remember, every president and his administration do come up with a foreign policy in the United States. And this particular new policy of the United States seems not to favor many of the African countries who depend on foreign aid and funding. So when you look at the developments coming in from there, they do not kind of put us in the best position. Why? We do have so many people who are employed in many of these foreign funded projects or NGOs.
But also many Ugandans that are benefiting from the initiatives.
Now, for example, when you look at the initiatives from USAID,
yes,
that is also one of the things that is going to be greatly affected. And the beauty is the president had a meeting with the U.S. ambassador to the country. So we wait to see what happened from the meeting and what discussions were held. You never know that maybe we have something to think about in regards to the negotiations.
The truth is, we have something to think about as far as our leaders are concerned, because we've been getting this money, but also we have also extensively been receiving reports of money being squandered by our leaders. Yesterday, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Diana Twine, did say that those that are living positively with HIV/AIDS do not have to worry, that we have enough drugs for them, that National Medical Store has enough drugs for them. But she did say one poignant thing, Jerome. She said, right now, it is the time for us to now start thinking on how to ensure that what we have is safeguarded and that we stop wasting money. So they know they've been wasting money.
Yes, they know they've been wasting money. You know, in my mind, my advice would be we should now really be very serious with preventing HIV/AIDS, because if we do not have the necessary funding, at times people are really relaxed. And I will tell you on ground, many Ugandans have really forgotten that HIV and AIDS is a deadly disease.
I think mostly the Gen Zs.
Because
at least for us, the millennials, we've been there, we've seen.
You're always attacking my age bracket.
I'm going to attack your age bracket because, let's be honest, it's in your age bracket that I've had people say, I would rather get pregnant, I would rather cry in a Benz. You get. And it's okay, by the way, to want the best for your life.
Many of them abort, so it's...
yes, thank you very much.
Anyways.
So anyway, we need to take the initiatives to prevent HIV infection personally. The fight against HIV/AIDS starts with each and every one of us. It's not the government. The government will take care of you, but why? The Uganda AIDS Commission has always said the drugs we have are enough for the 1.5 million Ugandans that are living positively. So imagine our population is almost 46 million people, and if, let's say, half of that is infected, do you see how bad that would be?
Very bad.
Yeah,
very bad, because we don't even know whether many people are safe, so you never know.
Well, you never know, but one thing I know for sure is that we've been able to get some news for you over the last 24 hours, and Jerome Paul will be taking us through the first story.
Well, now the president will be set to visit Lango sub-region today on the 28th of January as part of the Parish Development Model Tour. And during his visit, President Museveni is expected to inspect model farms and also commission several projects, including the Akibua Stadium and the Presidential Skilling Hub. The preparations to welcome President Museveni to the Lango sub-region are underway, and the Akibua Stadium workers have finalized their works ahead of the presidential visit. The stadium will be commissioned during President Museveni's visit, and it will be one of those stadiums that will be used for the AFCON 2027. Now in Lira City, the Presidential Skilling Hub at Lira University and the Akibua Stadium are flagship projects for commissioning. The local leaders say it has been a while since President Museveni visited the sub-region. Now they hope that the president will address key region issues and fulfill earlier pledges. Sam Atul, a local leader, emphasizes the need for Museveni to construct an industrial park in Lira and the completion of pending roads and the establishment of value addition processing plants. Then the other pressing matter is the division of Lira district. Now President Museveni's tour starts Tuesday, January 28th in Amolata district, Kole and Lira districts on the first day. And elsewhere, the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Robin Nabanja, has held bilateral talks with the Director General of the National Social Security Fund of Tanzania, Masha John Mushoba, and discussed a wide range of developmental issues. Nabanja is in Tanzania to represent His Excellency the President at the ongoing Africa Heads of State Energy Summit. At the bilateral meeting attended by Uganda's High Commissioner to the People's Republic of Tanzania, retired Colonel Frederick Mwesigye, and other technical staff from both countries, the Premier, Robin Nabanja, and the NSSF Tanzania Director discussed the issues relating to social welfare and livelihood improvement in the two countries. Now, Masha John, the Director General, NSSF Tanzania, says that Tanzania operates both the Public Social Security Fund for the public servants and National Social Security Fund for the private sector employees. Now, Masha revealed that Tanzania borrows the funds from NSSF and PSSF uses it to fund infrastructure projects in the country and then pays back later. He gave an example where they entered a partnership with the government in a 340 billion Tanzanian shillings toll bridge, where NSSF contributed 60% of the money and the government added 40%. The Prime Minister is leading the Ugandan delegation and the ongoing African Heads of Summit in the Energy Summit, which aims to strengthen collective efforts in addressing Africa's energy challenges. Now, the government is analyzing all United States funded programs, especially in the health sector, following a sudden decision by the U.S. President Donald Trump to halt the review of the foreign aid for 90 days. The Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Twine, confirmed that the government will ensure that this gap does not affect health programming. The United States government has been instrumental in funding a number of health programs, including HIV prevention, treatment, and research, tuberculosis and malaria control in sub-Saharan Africa. However, on the 20th of January 2025, the U.S. President Donald Trump issued a number of executive orders that include the United States halting foreign aid for 90 days and withdrawing from the World Health Organization. The foreign aid includes the U.S. President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR, and according to European Union AIDS Treatment Group, PEPFAR statistics show that at the end of 2024, it was providing ARVs to nearly 21 million people across 55 countries, many of them in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, the government is further revising strategies to ensure that the funding gap brought about Trump's executive orders does not affect the provision of crucial health services. And then this sudden announcement has left all USAID funded programs worldwide in balance, pending the 3-month review. And well, lastly, from our local news, Uganda's border points in southwest remain peaceful despite the ongoing conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo, according to the spokesperson of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, Felix Kulaije. The only effect on Uganda so far is the influx of refugees and business, where trucks are stuck at the border points. On Sunday, the M23 rebel group overran DRC government forces and took over the control of Goma, which is the 4th largest town in Congo. Now, the hundreds of trucks en route to Democratic Republic of Congo's town of Goma are stuck at Chanika border point in Chisoro district. Now, this is due to the conflict between the Congolese government and the M23 rebels, where the rebels captured are now in control of Goma town near the border of Uganda, and the Chisoro district police commander Beni Wamanya Kashubusha revealed that security is on high alert, monitoring the trucks and the situation in Congo, since it's just 90 kilometers from Uganda's district of Chisoro. Now, meanwhile, the spokesperson of Uganda People's Defense Forces, Felix Kulaije, revealed that Uganda's border points from southwestern have remained safe and peaceful. Now, Brigadier General Kulaije, however, blames the escalation of the conflicts between the DRC government forces and the M23 rebels on the withdrawal of East African Community Standby Forces in 2023. This is not the first time M23 rebels are capturing a town from government forces. In 2023, the rebels took over control of Bunagana town and vacated a few months later following the intervention of the East African Community Standby Forces.
Now, in the United States, President Trump continues to announce executive orders, as he has announced 4 new executive orders, including building an Iron Dome. United States President Donald Trump has announced he would sign an executive order calling for the construction of an Iron Dome missile defense program. On Monday, Trump addressed a retreat for Republican lawmakers at his South Florida golf resort, the Trump National Doro Miami, where he pledged to bolster U.S. military assets with executive action later in the evening. We have to have a strong defense, Trump said from the podium. And in a little while, I'll be signing 4 new executive orders. The first, he explained, was to immediately begin the construction of a state-of-the-art Iron Dome missile defense shield, which will be able to protect Americans. 2 more orders, he added, would be aimed at removing diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and getting transgender ideology the hell out of our military. A fourth order would also reinstate service members who were discharged for refusing to comply with mandates during the COVID-19 pandemic. About 8,000 members had been discharged for that reason between August 2021 to January 2023. Now moving on, more than 300,000 displaced Palestinians returned to northern Gaza on Monday following a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, according to a statement from the Gaza media office. More than 300,000 displaced people from the southern and central Gaza governorates returned to Gaza and northern governorates today via the Rashid, which is the west, and Salah al-Din east streets after 470 days, the statement said. The ceasefire, which took effect on January 19th, paused hostilities after months of devastating conflict. The fighting had resulted in more than 47,300 Palestinian deaths, most of them women and children, and injured over 100,000 since October 7th, 2023. The total also includes more than 11,000 missing persons amid humanitarian crisis described as one of the worst global disasters in recent memory. The ceasefire was accompanied by a prisoner exchange agreement between Hamas and Israel, facilitating the movement of civilians back to northern Gaza for the first time in over a year. Now heading right into DRC, the M23 offensive in the Democratic Republic of Congo has sparked a wave of international outrage. Meeting urgently this Sunday, the UN Security Council strongly condemned the presence of foreign forces in the eastern part of the country. China also expressed a clear and firm position. Fu Chang, permanent representative of China, said, and I quote, "China calls on the March 23 movement to strictly adhere to the ceasefire agreement, to stop using force, to withdraw from occupied areas, and to return to the path of a political solution. Any external force should refrain from providing military support to armed groups such as the March 23 movement in order to avoid exacerbating the situation." A short while earlier, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres directly addressed Kigali, urging Rwanda to withdraw troops and cease its support for the M23 rebels. France, through the President Emmanuel Macron, also condemned the M23 offensives. He called for an immediate return to the ceasefire and protection of civilian populations. In response to this escalation, Kenyan President William Ruto, head of the East African Community, has called for an extraordinary summit. This crucial meeting will bring together regional leaders, including Felix Tshisekedi and Rwanda's Paul Kagame. Well, that does it for our local and international news. Now let's have a look at what the newspapers have for us today.
Well, the New Vision writes best UPE schools per district. The little-known school Ansits Namilyango. Which school is that? There is also a top 10 schools per district. 3 faces of some of the greatest performers after the PLE results were released. Then also look into the Free Teens magazine, the Teen Vision, that the pullout is in today, Tuesday, the 28th. Now, M23 rebels enter Goma. There's a pictorial of these thousands of the Congolese residents who were leaving Goma, who were vacating and carrying their belongings elsewhere. Kawempe North by-election date has also been set. Find details in the New Vision. Now, there's also more to do with the opportunities at the Harvest Money Expo. Find details in there. Now, elsewhere, with our press review, the Citizen newspaper from Tanzania, driving collective action for a sustainable future, the Citizen writes. The 2-day mission of the 300 Africa Energy Summit kicked off in Dar es Salaam yesterday, highlighting the urgent need for collective action to achieve the continent's ambitious energy goals and tackle challenges that hinder access to electricity. Now, in between the lines, there are figures of $25 billion, which is the annual investments in Africa's renewable energy sector that could increase electricity production by 20%, says the Citizen. Then the Citizen also quotes some of the opening remarks. One is from Dr. Dota Bitoko, Tanzania's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Energy. He says, "We are striving to ensure that over the next 5 years, at least 300 million people across Africa gain access to electricity. This is an achievable target, and Tanzania is proud to play its part in making this a reality." Then Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, Tanzania's Minister for Finance, says that to address the electricity access challenge, we must strive to put together the technical abilities and financial resources. We must also prioritize financing energy sectors. Then Ajay Banga, president of the World Bank Group, revealed that overcoming the energy challenges for Africa that Africa faces requires aligning policies, securing funding, and creating actionable frameworks. And then Mr. Boli, the deputy managing director of the International Monetary Fund, says strengthening governance and transparency, enacting sound regulations and reforms are vital to increasing sustainable finance flows. Then lastly, Dr. Adeshina, who is the president of the African Development Bank, revealed that Africa needs electricity, jobs and industrialization to harness its full potential. It also revealed that African nations must prioritize reliable and affordable energy access as a key driver to economic development. Then also with the Citizen, business matters tax evasion, an alarm has been raised over revenue loss in the East African region. And then the Chadema Elders Council chairperson vows to push for elderly rights law in Tanzania. Then as we're summing it up with the press review yesterday, the African Cup of Nations draw were held live from the Mohammed V National Theatre in Rabat, Morocco, and Group C saw Uganda get drawn with Tunisia, Nigeria and Tanzania as we await for the African showpiece come December. Well, that does it for our press review this morning.
Well, welcome back from the press review. Now, the inspiration song of the day, being a beautiful Tuesday morning, is coming right up next.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
We are striving to ensure that over the next 5 years, at least 300 million people across Africa gain access to electricity. This is an achievable target, and Tanzania is proud to play its part in making this a reality. Then Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, Tanzania's Minister for Finance, says that to address the electricity access challenge, we must strive to put together the technical abilities and financial resources. We must also prioritize financing energy sectors. Then Ajay Banga, president of the World Bank Group, revealed that overcoming the energy challenges for Africa that Africa faces requires aligning policies, securing funding and creating actionable frameworks. And then Mr. Boli, the deputy managing director of the International Monetary Fund, says strengthening governance and transparency, enacting sound regulations and reforms are vital to increasing sustainable finance flows. Then lastly, Dr. Adeshina, who is the president of the African Development Bank, revealed that Africa needs electricity, jobs and industrialization to harness its full potential. It also revealed that African nations must prioritize reliable and affordable energy access as a key driver to economic development. Then also with the Citizen, business matters tax evasion, an alarm has been raised over revenue loss in the East African region. And then the Chadema Elders Council chairperson vows to push for elderly rights law in Tanzania. Then as we're summing it up with the press review yesterday, the African Cup of Nations draw were held live from the Mohammed V National Theatre in Rabat, Morocco, and Group C saw Uganda get drawn with Tunisia, Nigeria and Tanzania as we await for the African showpiece come December. Well, that does it for our press review this morning.
Well, welcome back from the press review. Now, the inspiration song of the day, being a beautiful Tuesday morning, is coming right up next.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
We are striving to ensure that over the next 5 years, at least 300 million people across Africa gain access to electricity. This is an achievable target, and Tanzania is proud to play its part in making this a reality. Then Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, Tanzania's Minister for Finance, says that to address the electricity access challenge, we must strive to put together the technical abilities and financial resources. We must also prioritize financing energy sectors. Then Ajay Banga, president of the World Bank Group, revealed that overcoming the energy challenges for Africa that Africa faces requires aligning policies, securing funding, and creating actionable frameworks. And then Mr. Boli, the deputy managing director of the International Monetary Fund, says strengthening governance and transparency, enacting sound regulations and reforms are vital to increasing sustainable finance flows. Then lastly, Dr. Adeshina, who is the president of the...
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
It's our mission to secure your money.
Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone, or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312-206-400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
We are the DPF. We protect your money. Protection Fund of Uganda.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sevatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, assigned Uganda Prison Service a task to produce food and animal feeds. This was a directive of July 2022 to Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries to allocate land to Uganda Prison Service for food production. The allocation totaled to 50,000 acres, in which 30,000 acres is maize grain, 10,000 acres soya beans, and 10,000 acres sorghum. Areas allocated to Uganda Prison Service include Aswa Farm in Pade District, northern part of Uganda.
This is Aswa Farm, originally from Aswa Ranches, land which was handed over to Uganda Prison Service by Ministry of Agriculture for food security intervention, and which came in as a necessity by the government program. And this one arose out of the food scarcity that was happening in the country, and the government through my felt that we should produce food. And this intervention includes Uganda Prison Service.
Bush clearing here started on the 10th of October 2022, and it is progressing on well. Apparently we have covered acreage of 1,000 acres, which is being prepared.
Uganda Prison Service embarked on an ambitious effort to transform access to Aswa group of prisons, and in so doing is bridging gap for local communities. The construction of new roads and bridges has significantly improved accessibility to the facility, paving way for enhanced economic opportunities and sustainable development.
and as a technical person in this place. It's a new farm among the new farms which are introduced for food security, and we are seated on an acreage of about 30,000 acres.
As of now, about 2,000 acres is under cultivation for commercial maize production, with several harvests already realized over time. Additionally, storage facilities are being established to ensure efficient handling and distribution of produce.
We are happy that in the neighborhood of Rugole, we are putting a silo, which is going to be a bulk storage, and whole produce from here can be evacuated and taken to Rugole.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, the election year is upon us. 2026 is way around the corner. Actually, when you talk about the general elections, they begin this year. That's why we say general elections 2025, 2026, but because special interest groups elections will be occurring this year in June. That is the representatives of the youth, the representatives of the persons living with disabilities, workers' representatives, and also elders, so elderly. So the elections begin 2025. And in that effort, we have had different conversations with different stakeholders regarding the same, and we will continue to have the same because elections are one of the most important duties of the government to ensure that we have national elections every 5 years. But also as citizens, it is our civic duty to choose and pick our leaders. You cannot go on X and other social media platforms and any other platform and complain about the quality of leaders when you do not take charge. So this is a call to all of us Ugandans, a call to action for us to interest ourselves into the politics of the country. Our leaders are a representation of the kind of people that we are. So if you say the quality of leaders we have in Parliament, especially this one, is wanting, my question to you is, what have you done or what do you plan to do to ensure that the next Parliament is way better than this one? Well, my name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I am with Jerome Paul Sonko, and together we are going to look into what's happening in the political arena. It is being reported that top families' money are shaping the youth MP races. Basically, people that have the money are controlling the purse strings, and because of this, the members of parliament that we are seeing, the youth MPs we are looking at, or those aspirants, are they really people that are worthy to represent the youth, or they are trying to contest for these positions just because they come from the right family or because someone is paying for their seat in Parliament? These are poignant questions for us to ask. Why? Because at the end of the day, if we elect people just because they come from a certain family, if we elect people just because they have the money, are we really fully being represented? Jerome?
Yes. It depends on very many things, Olive. But to the viewer out there, I just want them to know that we have 5 posts for youth representatives in our parliament today. And of the 5, we have East, Central, West, Northern, and then the National Female Youth MP. And the current National Female Youth MP is Honorable Fiona Nyamtoro, who is also the State Minister for Energy. And then for the Western Uganda, we have Edson Rugmayo, we have Agnes Chirabo, who is the Youth MP for Central, we have Boniface Henry Okot. Now Boniface is for the Northern Uganda. And then, who's the other that I'm forgetting? Who is Bernard? Yeah, Honorable Bernard Odoy from the Eastern region. Now, looking at a number of, their political journeys as young people in the political space and representing the political arena, not all of them come from, let's say, well-to-do families, because you'll look at a background, for example, for that of Honorable Fiona Nyamtoro. When you read closely, they will tell you she comes from a humble background. And then, when you try to trace and see how these members of parliament have risen through the ranks in leadership, many of them have highly been influenced by their political parties that they are attached to. And in this context, the majority fall under the ruling party, that is the NRM. And because when you look at Rugumayo, for example, you look at Bernard Odoy, you look at Honorable Fiona Nyamtoro, many of them have got some bit of affiliation to the NRM. Meaning at the get-go, as we are heading into the political space, as the political arena is shaping up for new leaders and youth leaders in particular, there is so much attention that should be given to the political parties and how they assemble their possible leaders right from university. Because many of these youth leaders have either been guild presidents or have served in different capacities under guild leadership at the institutions of higher learning. They have gone through, patriotic trainings, that is for student leaders, that is organized by the NRM. But then also, they have highly been influenced by political figures within the political parties that they subscribe to. Now, the money element comes in.
Because when you say influenced by their parties or the influential leaders in their
they are not
parties,
going to influence you with just words.
Exactly.
So they're going to influence you with making sure they are funding your campaigns, making sure that they facilitate your movement, so that wherever you're going to ask for these votes, you at least have a financial backing. Now, when it comes to the bit of the independent for the political, this is where many of the youth representatives do not come in as independents, because first of all, it's a position that has so much competition. You're competing with young people, and if you do not have the right backing, for example, from the political parties with well-aligned structures, you're losing out. Meaning, money is greatly influencing here. Okay,
Jerome, before you even continue, 2 weeks ago, social media was awash with the announcement of Daniel Maitum Engena of his intentions to become the youth member of parliament, Eastern region, in the coming elections, right? Now, Mr. Maitum is the firstborn son of Anita Annette Among, who is the Speaker of Parliament. I want you to chew on that for a second. Now, so when you look at what people are saying, your mother is one of the most powerful people in the country. Powerful in the sense that being the Speaker of Parliament, you're in the upper echelons of leadership in the country. You have influence, you know the right people, you enter the right rooms, you talk to the right people. So tell me, if Jerome Paul Sonko from Buikwe can compete and favorably win when he...
You never know if I come from a seriously stable family. But anyway, jokes aside.
But you see where I'm coming from.
Yes, and I get the argument from many of the social media critics. But however, this is the nature of politics now we are subscribing to in the country, that if at all you are to compete, you're supposed to get ready for what is coming up. And in the situation, for example, is you're not going to say, of course many would say maybe the young man was influenced by the mother to join the politics, but you may realize that the young man wanted to do the politics. And as a mother, and then also politician, you would say, I will back you if need be.
As a mom and as a member
as a
of
mom
the
and
NRM
also
party.
as a party member. And then on top of it, because you know how politics play, you wouldn't love to see your son losing out when you can easily help out and support. But when you look at how the entire politics play in Uganda, even from the other positions, whether you're a member of parliament, whether you're going in for any given position, you've got to have the backing of your family. And that is why in most cases, it is very common, and it has been very common with our political parties, especially during, we normally see these cases when we're heading into the by-elections, that a member of parliament has passed on, but because the family still feels that the person who can fulfill the visions of the district or the constituency
is supposed someone in the family.
Yeah, it's supposed to be someone from the family. And some people normally buy the idea that, well, since your mother's passed on and you're grown enough to be part and parcel of decision-making in society, why not go in for the by-elections and join us? Others would say, it seems you share the same ideologies with either your auntie or your mother, so they will just back you because of the family you come from. And the unfortunate bit is, at times, we do not look at the capabilities of these people. We are only looking at them from the aspect of the families they're coming from. And it's going to be the common thing we are going to see ahead of the polls, because many of the people who have already thrown in thrown in a shot at a parliamentary seat in the coming 2026 elections are either coming from politically sound families or very influential families from the districts they are coming in.
Influential families in terms of business, money, connections.
Money, and some of them, it may not even be money, but it may be because of cultural attachments. There are regions and there are constituencies where a family is highly respected.
Like in Buganda here, there are people that have become politicians just because of the family.
The family background, yes. And someone says because this and this person is a grandson to the great, put a name. And then someone in Western Uganda will tell you this one comes from a family in, let's say, Bushenyi, and in Bushenyi we highly respect this family let's say we respect the family of the late so-and-so. So we feel for us to continue with this legacy, this person has to come in. And when it comes to the youth elections, because not so many people feel the young people of sound mind today, because of the kind of lifestyle many young people are living. So if you're coming from a family that is highly respected, people would say, well, at least he's coming from a sensible family. Maybe he can change things here and there. Maybe he will be influenced. Okay. And they get a shot at it.
Okay. Now, Jerome, the other important thing to note is that despite which family you come from, you are still, these people are still Ugandan citizens. For instance, the Speaker's son, he's a Ugandan citizen. And as such, he has a right to contest for whatever posting, for whatever position that he deems where he can serve. Yes, he comes from an influential family, but at the end of the day, he's a Ugandan, and the constitution is very clear. He has the right to contest. So I know it is a very sticky position, but let's look at it this way. Let's go way back to the United States. George W. Sr. was president. Later on, George W. Bush Jr. served. And, Jerome, I want you in the next 10, 15 years, if we are still here, like alive, to tell me if I was wrong. The person I'm looking out for right now, the person the world and I think America should look out for now is Baron Trump.
Well, no, did that.
I see it happening, but I'm saying this to say what? There is a right prescribed by the Constitution for any Ugandan that has the criteria that has been prescribed by the Electoral Commission to contest for any position to do so. But now let's look at the qualities of, for instance, youth leaders. The policy puts the youth between the age of 18 and 30, but also the East African community defines a youth as someone between the ages of 15 and 35 years. So that means for anyone to qualify to be elected in the positions of youth MP, they should be not older than 29 years old. So all the people you're going to see are going to be within that age bracket, below the age of 30. Now, the youth representatives, the elderly, the workers' MPs, and persons living with disabilities, their leaders are going to be elected for this year in June. So are they, let me ask, we have all these new faces coming up intending to contest for these positions. Where does that leave the incumbents?
Well, many of the incumbents, because they've got a good structure within the youth, you know, the youth settings, many of them use the 5-year term to prepare for the political roles in, let's say, different constituencies.
Okay.
Because there are high beliefs that, for example, Honorable Fiona Nyamtoro is now also going in for Member of Parliament from the area she comes from. And when you look at it, and you've given the right age bracket there, from 18 to 30, many of them get into Parliament when they're either 24 or 25. That is after university, because when you look, I've been looking at many of these profiles of the current youth MPs, and 3 of them are bachelor's holders. Then 2 of them, the ladies, surprisingly, are the ones on masters. And it's one is in business administration, I've seen, and then the other is in public administration. So you can easily see that education has also been at the forefront of this. Meaning, if you want to be a youth MP, please do note that you should, as much as we're talking about 18 years, you're done with your Form 6, but at least you really need to be
somewhere,
somewhere academically. But then also, when it comes to what happens after the youth MP role, well, even your political party will pretty much be disappointed if you do not take a shot at a major seat, let's say in the constituency or district level. Why? Because they've facilitated your growth in terms of the political arena. They've pretty much pushed you to where you are, meaning it would be a high moment for yourself. And when it comes to your political career, here as a youth MP, you're just growing through the ranks, meaning as you grow and maybe become a member of parliament for the constituency or for a district, you're also growing bigger in the political space. But Olive, I've come to also realize that there is a way Ugandans are approaching the elections, and there is a way Ugandans are growing bias towards certain candidates even before we tend to see their kind of manifestos they present to us.
Why? Which way?
Because like the like the example you've shared, we've seen so many people who come from families of leaders, current leaders today, who are very good leaders. They may not be direct sons or daughters, but they've grown through the arms of these people, and they have been so good at policy implementation. They've been so good in office. So, as much as we are saying a member of parliament is coming in to contest and they have the backing of, let's say, speaker, they have the backing of, let's say, the president or the prime minister, let's first of all weigh the options of the person who is competing with them. At times you will look at the competitor, and the competitor is also not that a serious person with how they approach the political space. Because it is one thing to throw in, you know, the political sympathy card of saying, you know, they are going to influence the polls simply because they are in power. They are going to influence the polls simply because they have the money. Now, you who doesn't have the money, what are you willing?
Show us what you got.
Show us what you got. Because at times, you may not be having the money, but people will, because one of the things we've come to discuss here is that people are highly interested in voting, especially when it comes to their area members of parliament. People do show up. So meaning, if at all you want to win the hearts of your voters or your possible voters, is you've got to show people. And at the end of it all, with the political space, the reality is, the sad reality is, you've really got to have financial backing.
Now,
whether it's from the family or whether it's from an individual, you've really got to have some financial backing, because you are not going to play in a field of people who are well funded and you are not. And the best thing you're going to be saying to people is that, well, I do not have money and someone is playing. It is the sad reality.
Well, it's the truth is, for any political position, financial backing is paramount. You are not going to organize rallies without money. Politics is very expensive. That's why some people sell property to invest in their political career. And
Then
unfortunately
they
for
take
some...
back ambulances.
And then they take back ambulances. That's a good one. And unfortunately for some, they lose everything. And then we know some people that quit their jobs in the last cycle and contested and didn't win, and they had to start back from scratch. They had to go for greener pastures. I won't name names, but I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Now, when we look at the Eastern region, the youth MP position has been really influenced by families that have money, or by people that, you know, have a certain amount of power. When you look at, like, for instance, the current Eastern Region representative, Bernard Odoi, he was allegedly backed by Tanga Odoi, who is the chairman of the Electoral Commission of the National Resistance Movement, allegedly. That's what I see here. And then he trounced Mr. Wanyama, the son of Bukoli South Member of Parliament, Mr. Stephen Dede, and Noah Mwidu Noah, the brother of Henry Agrebajire, the State Minister for Transport, among others. Do you hear the titles, the families? This one said, Odoi is not my biological son. He's just a man who was born in the same season as I was, and our names among the Japadora. You are named to a season within which you are born. That is what Mr. Tango Doi said.
And you see, on the side of Tango Doi, you would pretty much bear with him, because when you belong to the NRM, yours is to ensure that you're bringing new leaders into the party. And the same applies to other political parties. You've got to make sure that the upcoming generation is subscribing to your principles, to your visions, and, you know, goals.
That's okay, Jerome, but I wanted us to get to the point, and I think this is in the broader perspective. Yes, here we are looking at the youth representatives, the families they come from, and who is backing them. But I think the elephant in the room right now is the commercialization of politics in the country. Does it mean that if I don't have heavy purse strings, I cannot serve my country? And also the other question is, and I asked this in the beginning, are we as Ugandans saying that only the rich can represent us?
Even the rich have disappointed us. And they have disappointed us terribly. But Olive, I think our issue here is our perception of politics, unfortunately. And that has led to the commercialization of politics. We've had these conversations about where commercialization of politics stems from, right from the elections in school, how we commercialize everything. And then also the Ugandans, you know, majority have not given a huge understanding, or have not given time to understand civic education or how to handle civic matters in the country. Why? Because some Ugandans are pretty much frustrated with how the politics in this country play out. Many of them feel that their leaders, you know, are not being that exemplary. So at times, they kind of even feel they're not so much interested. Now, when you look at the youth, you know, polls, for example, many of these young leaders stem from university. When you look at how their kind of leadership structures are groomed, they start from university, and you can know that this particular person is being prepared for a specific role.
Because even the Norbert Maos, the late speaker, they started from university.
Exactly, so people get to see you. But please note, Olive, in universities, how do people get this fame? I love the fact that in universities, at times the commercialization of politics comes in later. Because At the university level, it is about your fame that makes you a loved person. That keeps, How do you carry yourself? What is, the most common word lately is your aura. Do you have the aura points to become a leader? Are you fit enough? So when people get to see how you move, how you present yourself, they tend to realize that, okay, this is a good leader. And when you look back at the leaders that Makerere University has groomed, Chambogo, over the years, you will realize that many of them were able leaders. It is after they were put into the mix of the Ugandan political space where they started also realizing that there is a lot of money to pick up from. So with that, they also joined the entire chunk. But also, many political parties have also failed to help us, align our political space. Why? Whenever they see young talent in the political arena growing up in universities, instead of grooming them in the right way, they already put them in the mix of the money. So you're seeing a leader, let's say guild president, and then you will see a political party going into fund. They go into to try and bribe this person to join their political party. So you've already shown this young man who is below 25 or who is yet to even kickstart off his political career that, well, if you join my party,
this is what you stand to get.
Yeah, this is what you stand to get. So they're not aiming at even achieving anything in regards to their career, but now they're aiming at seeing what do they get at the end of joining a political party. Meaning we've killed the entire space and then we end up commercializing the politics. And that is why families that have money realize that, well, if I told you you're commercializing the politics, let's back our son or daughter, let her go in.
Okay. Well, I have a comment coming in from Modamba Robert, and he's saying, thanks for the work done. My suggestion is that in order to have the next parliament to be better than the previous one, the voters should not vote a leader because of money. We have leaders who are not so rich, but they can deliver what they are sent to do by the people. Thank you so much, Robert. And then this one say, this is Cricket Derek from Makindye, Cricket Derek Gagamel from Makindye Luafu, says, good morning, Olive and Joram. Youths dominate our population according to the statistics, meaning that their numbers speak volumes to all matters of our country. Unfortunately, in most cases, youths are always brainwashed, used for bad intentions due to their excitement and immaturity in some matters. With our immature politics of seeing opponents as big enemies, character assassination, among others, which it's inherit from our seniors and mentors, we are not safe at all. I wonder which kind of leaders are we nurturing? We need to wake up and do mature politics right. Thank you. And then Omgaga Saurimbo in Naweru, MP Adako Nansana Municipality 2026, agambye tugenda kulonda busobozi tukoye okulonda abantu abatakola. Thank you so much.
Isn't that the same area I saw Zambali coming up for?
I think so. Well, Jerome, your parting shots. The youth, first of all, the voters registry is being updated up until the 10th of February 2025. You are of age. Have you updated your particulars?
No, I haven't updated, but I would like to, first of all, say in 2021, I actively participated in the elections.
Okay.
I wasn't so active in the other polls, but of course I took my it was okay, it was the first time I had my interest in the politics, because remember it was I think we're still even in COVID, so and the attention was there, so we're like, let's go and give it a shot. However,
so,
I will tell you on my side, and I think some people would also share the same. You know, the most hurting thing is for you to vote, and the majority of the people you voted for
you will lose. It means you had your head in the right direction anyway.
No, at least you want to see people also following your side of choice. But anyways,
keep going.
But anyways, I think for the Ugandans out there, we really need to be sane about the people we vote. regardless of whether your candidate has passed through or not, but at least know that you've represented the right thing that you feel on the inside. Because it is your right to vote. And I always advise people that it's not right for you to shun away from elections because you feel that maybe some people would say, regardless of whether I vote or not, this person won't. So then you go and exercise your duty as a citizen. Do the right thing, because doing the right thing is doing the right thing starts from you. You never know. One time your vote might be the only missing link for
I remember in 2000 when Al Gore was contesting for the presidency of the United States with George W. Bush, they had to recount their votes. And that 1-2 votes were the distinction. So you're right. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. The update of the voters registry is ongoing and it ends on the 10th of February 2025. Now, if you haven't yet seen your particulars, haven't yet checked to see if you are in the right polling station, your names are spelled right, this is the time to go to your gombola, to your parish, and have these checked out so that you can be able to, in June, vote for youth leaders and other special interest groups, but also to participate in the election, the general elections for our members of parliament, for our president, and many other leaders next year. So this is very important. There won't be an extension, so you must go and check your standing in the voters registry before the 10th of February 2025. And if you're turning 18 on the 11th, unfortunately, you won't be able to vote. Well, this is Good Morning Uganda. We are taking a short break, and Jerome Paul will be back with business updates. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning, and thank you very much for sticking around. It's time for us to check into the world of business. I'm Joram Paul Sonko. Now, starting off, the public has been called upon to withstand with electricity sector challenges during this period of transition from Umeme Limited to the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited, as these challenges are termed to be consequential. Now, in an engagement with the media, the Chief Executive Officer of the Electricity Regulatory Authority, ERA, Engineer Ziria Tibarawako, called for patience. The Electricity Regulatory Authority organized a media engagement on the basic information surrounding the electricity sector, and this is in the wake of the power vending transition from Umeme to a government entity, now which is UEDCL. With the electricity outages becoming rampant across the country, the regulator called for patience, attributing load shedding to transitional challenges. Now, Engineer Ziria disclosed that amidst the electricity challenges, the Auditor General is assessing and processing the would-be buy amount to compensate Umeme infrastructure investments. The Umeme concession will expire on the 31st of March this year, and the regulatory body is expected to conduct a tariff rebasing upon assessing UEDCL operation, and these tariffs are expected to be determined by the amount of capital government is willing to invest. And then the increased customer base is also likely to necessitate a new economic regulation framework which will ensure electricity efficiency, sustainability and affordability. Now, elsewhere, on the 23rd of January, Parliament approved the amendment of the Anti-Money Laundering Act 2022 CAP 118, removing the non-government organizations, churches and other non-profit organizations from the list of accountable persons in the fight against money laundering and terrorism financing. This was revealed by Wanjala Yona, the Director General Civic Advisory Hub, at the media briefing. The National Non-Profit Organization Working Group on Financial Action Task Force, which was held in Tinda. Now, the amendment of the 2022 Anti-Money Laundering Act to declassify not-for-profit organizations from the list of accountable persons in the fight against money laundering is marking a significant milestone for the years of collective advocacy for not-for-profit organizations. Now, Uganda will now transition to a risk-based approach in addressing terrorism financing related to not-for-profit organizations. The NPOs pledge to strengthen their capacities in identifying and also mitigating terrorism financing risks through capacity building workshops, training programs and practical guidance on effective mitigation strategies. Now, many Ugandans are entrepreneurs, but a significant number of them do lack essential financing knowledge, according to Haj Lule Ibrahim, a director at the Uganda Manufacturers Association. Now, to address the gap, the Uganda Manufacturers Association, UMA, organized a two-day training on financial management for non-finance managers from the various organizations. Haj Lule Ibrahim, a director at the Uganda Manufacturers Association, emphasized that the training for non-finance managers is aiming to equip managers with critical financial knowledge, enabling them to make informed decisions that will enhance their organization's success. The training is designed to equip managers with deeper understanding of financial principles, empowering participants to steer their businesses towards growth and sustainability. Eva Naluboa, a financial expert and trainers, noted that if the knowledge gained is implemented effectively, it could help Ugandan businesses thrive and survive for generations, bridging the financial knowledge gap, which is key in creating resilient manufacturing sectors in the country whose impact can extend to the broader economy. Now, away from that, we head to the meat-selling business in Kampala, because members of the Kampala City Abattoir have organized a peaceful protest over the abduction of their leaders after raising concern on poor service delivery at the slaughterhouse. They allege that KCCA officials, including the market master Nantaza Hadija, have not delivered and demand for their immediate dismissal. The Kampala City Abattoir members have grievances over Kampala Capital City Authority for failing to fulfill its obligation in service delivery. A butcher at the slaughterhouse in the names of Mulo complained about poor sanitation at the City Abattoir, blaming it on KCCA market administration. And the City Abattoir members demand KCCA to release their leaders who were recently arrested, and also to address their demands for a change in the KCCA market leadership. Now, KCCA Public Relationship Officer Daniel Muhumoza clarified on those arrests. Now, meanwhile, away from that, we talk matters milk production because Uganda is planning to draft a cabinet paper to enforce a milk feeding program in schools. This targets meeting the World Health Organization nutrition standards while boosting local milk consumption. Now, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics 2024 shows that milk feeding in Uganda stands at 63 liters per capita, and contrary to the World Health Organization required 200 liters. Now, it implies therefore that there is inadequate feeding on milk as required, which is leaving schools and the school-going children outside the bracket. Now, government is drafting a cabinet paper to ensure that this implementation is done. And the State Minister for Animal Husbandry, Bright Ramirama, revealed that Uganda has many milk processing factories producing quality milk and yogurt for consumption. He added that the government is introducing innovations like vending machines to keep milk clean. Lakeside Dairy reports rising consumer demands, prompting them to expand production lines. Now, as processors expand their market, Ramirama urges dairy farmers to keep relevant animals for business. Well, that does it for business this Tuesday. We now turn our focus on the forex market to see how the currencies have been faring on the exchange. Close of business Monday. Well, the US dollar opened buying at 3,682.59 shillings while selling at 3,692.59. By midday, it was buying at 3,692.14 while selling at 3,702.14 shillings. The US dollar then closed buying at 3,684.86 shillings while selling was 3,694.86 shillings. The Great Britain pound closed at 4,585.43 while selling was 4,597.88. The euro was buying at 3,852.88 while selling at 3,863.34. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 28.50 while selling at 28.58. There was a drop in the Tanzanian shilling though, because buying was at 1.44 shillings while selling was at 1.45 shillings. The South African rand was buying at 198.77 while selling at 1,999.31 shillings. And well, that does it for business this morning. I'll be back tomorrow with the latest from the world of business. For now, Good Morning Uganda returns with the agenda. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
It's our mission to secure your money.
Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312-206-400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, assigned Uganda Prison Service a task to produce food and animal feeds. This was a directive of July 2022 to Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries to allocate land to Uganda Prison Service for food production. The allocation totaled to 50,000 acres, in which 30,000 acres is maize grain, 10,000 acres soya beans, and 10,000 acres sorghum.
Areas allocated to Uganda Prison Service, that's not far, but they district other part.
This is Aswa Farm, originally from Aswa Ranches, land which was handed over to Uganda Prison Service by Ministry of Agriculture for food security intervention, and which came in as a necessity by the government program. And this one arose out of the food scarcity that was happening in the country, and the government through my felt that we should produce food. And this intervention includes Uganda Prison Service.
Bush clearing here started on the 10th of October 2022, and it is progressing on well. Apparently we have covered acreage of 1,000 acres, which is being prepared.
Uganda Prison Service embarked on an ambitious effort to transform access to Aswa Group of prisons, and in so doing is bridging gap for local communities. The construction of new roads and bridges has significantly improved accessibility to the facility, paving way for enhanced economic opportunities and sustainable development.
Our manager and as a technical person in this place. It is a new farm among the new farms which are introduced for food security, and we are seated on an acreage of about 30,000 acres.
As of now, about 2,000 acres is under cultivation for commercial maize production, with several harvests already realized over time. Additionally, storage facilities are being established to ensure efficient handling and distribution of produce.
We are happy that in the neighborhood of Rugole, we are putting a silo, which is going to be a bulk storage, and who produce from here can be evacuated and taken to Rugole.
An agricultural engineer deployed in Rugole prison farm. I am most welcome to Rugole prison, and this is the silo project, which has a capacity of 3,000 metric tons. It is meant to help in improving the storage capacities and also improving on the post-harvest handling mechanisms.
That in the next 3 to 4 years, Uganda Prison Service is expected to complete the overall 30,000 acres through establishment of more prison facilities within an agricultural complex.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko, I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Welcome to Good Morning Uganda, your go-to morning show to kickstart your day with all the latest updates.
Let's dive deep into issues that matter most to you.
In a world of stories waiting to be told, the headlines are your guide. Navigate the currents of news and knowledge with our daily updates of newspapers. Stay informed, stay empowered.
From the roar of the crowd to the thunder of victory, witness the drama unfold with our sports updates. Whether on the field or in the stands, join us as we celebrate the spirit of champions.
Rise with Good Morning Uganda, weekdays from 6:30 a.m.
Many thanks for joining us on Good Morning Uganda. My name is Olive Monica Najuma. This is our agenda segment. If you joined us earlier on at 6:30 when we started, thank you so much. You're doing a great thing supporting our program, and you're the reason we wake up every single morning to come here and do what we do and ensure that we have the necessary and most important conversations with stakeholders, policy makers and opinion leaders in our country. Now, today we look into Uganda prisons and the welfare of inmates. when you follow different discourse on different social media platforms, but also other platforms, you will realize that there are allegations of mistreatment of certain inmates when it comes to our prisons. And today I will be speaking to Mr. Frank Baine Mayanja, who is the Deputy Director, Corporate Affairs or spokesperson, Uganda prisons. Now, we will look deeply into these allegations and demystify the myths, but also state the facts when it comes to the welfare of the inmates in our prisons. Now, looking at the number of people that are currently incarcerated in different prisons across the country, they have a total of 80,076 inmates. But our capacity is 22,000 inmates. Now, do the math. You will realize that there are issues like overcrowding in some prisons. It's already noted that Luzira is beyond capacity because it had a different number it's supposed to hold. And when we look at the numbers in there, you will realize that we are already beyond. So join me as we have this conversation with Mr. Frank Baine. You're welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Dear listeners, viewers, and my friend Olive.
Yes, I'm glad to have you. Happy New Year.
I'm glad to be here. Happy New Year too.
Yes. Now, Mr. Baine, the biggest question here, prisoner welfare. And as the person who is at the echelon of telling us what's really happening there, first paint a picture for us. Let's start with the numbers.
Well, our ritual always when we are beginning to talk to the public is to tell them how many people slept in our facility.
Yes.
And that's why by this morning, yes, we have 80,000 and 76,000. I mean, 80,076 prisoners. And of them, 47% are remands and 53% are convicts. These are kept in 269 prisons, grouped in 19 regions, and being managed by 14,000 staff. And the situation is normal. To begin with, the welfare of inmates, of course, starts from the budget levels of the inmates. That Uganda Prison Service operates at a budget of 45% of what we are supposed to have. And it is from there that you will now start cutting the priorities. And that's why we say that, okay, according to the fundamental aspects, one is food, and is to ensure that at least prisoners get 3 meals a day, to ensure that prisoners on remand access justice by going and coming back from court, to ensure that there is basic treatment of the sick, and fortunately we go beyond and have some understandings with the specific hospitals. If we find that the ailments of our people cannot be managed from within. For the public information, Makshon Bay Hospital and Prison is a national referral hospital for prisoners. And it gets all that is entitlement for that regional referral hospital class. And I think, without blowing our own trumpet, we have tried to manage within the situation, because we had a problem of TB, which we really scaled it down. We are in partnership with the Center for Disease Control, CDC, to do some of these health operations that are required, especially for complicated diseases like TB, like cancer, and the like. So generally, I can say the situation is normal. Well, as you realize, of course, we are not able to give mattresses, but at least each prisoner is entitled to 2 blankets, and each prisoner is entitled at least to a pay of uniform every 4 months. It is only the women that are lucky. With women, they have beds and mattresses. And for the mothers, at least there are cows which are specifically managed by those female prisoners to ensure that children get milk. And then part of the activities they do is to teach the women on how to manage their children. So, and our women get antenatal, they do antenatals, they deliver in hospitals. So I think by and large, we are doing our best.
Okay. You did mention that you're not in position to provide mattresses, but then you said women have mattresses and beds.
Yeah, because they are
so
few.
the men do not have beds.
They don't have beds. They have blankets.
Blankets.
Yeah. Apart from, of course, the sick beds. The sick beds for the sick. The sick have where to sleep on beds, but generally, and because of the budgetary constraints, but even our space would not be allowing us to have the luxury of beds.
Okay. Now let's look at the space itself. Given that Luzira, and I stand to be corrected, but my research shows that Luzira prison has a capacity of about 1,700 inmates, and right now it's way over that.
You see, when you talk of Luzira is composed of 4 prisons.
Yes. We
have the maximum security prison, which was initially meant for 600. They are keeping over 3,000. Then we have Makshon Bay. Makshon Bay was for about 400. They are also having over 2,000. We have Kampala Remand, which was meant for 250. They are keeping over 1,000. We have Luzira Women, which was also meant for about 100, but they are now in about 800,000. Yes.
Those are quite huge numbers.
I know. Because you see, the challenge has always been that our infrastructure development is 2% per annum. Yet the prisoners' population is growing at 8% per annum. And congestion, when I'm talking about congestion, I always call it a complex matter. Let's before you even go to the prison, let's start from the roads. These roads, a distance which you are supposed to cover in 30 minutes, you cover it in 4 hours, simply because the vehicles are too many for the roads. We are not able to expand these roads. When you go to hospitals like Murago, you'll find that what used to be corridors are now admission wards. So I think as a country, we need to plan better for the population expansion. Because our population growth seems to be much higher than we are able to put facilities in place. You can see, like some of us when we were in the university, there was only 1 university.
Yes.
Right now there are over 100 universities, but still some people miss to go to the university, not because they don't qualify, but because there is no spaces. So we must agree that this population growth needs better planning and needs better resources to be managed.
Okay. Now, when you look at the numbers of inmates that you have, would you say that all of them, how do I phrase it? You see, we have those that are like, let's say, capital punishments. And, let's look at the ones that are maybe on smaller sentences, the ones that had petty crimes. Have you looked into maybe releasing some of those in order?
You see, the justice system of this country is difficult. For us as prisoners, we don't have powers to release because the powers to determine who is released or not comes from court.
Yes.
Now, but our society, court is also a representation of our society. We used to have very many alternative dispute resolution centers. But over time, everything has been left to the police and court. And that's why you find that almost every case ends with the with the police. Now,
even those ones that could be shared, rather resolved within the community,
with the community
and family.
And the like. But now that is now a societal problem. Then 2, we have become an impatient and intolerant society that actually even those who would want to try that line are scared of the consequences. If you have noticed, every the other day there is a lot of mob justice, like those who know border and whatnot. But all those are indicators that our fabric, social fabric, is getting weaker and weaker. And because of that, then we are just living a mechanical life, that whatever happens must be happened. Now, while congestion can happen in papers, at police for a short time, in court and DPP for the just files, now the people are with us in what? In prisons. Unfortunately, we are at the end of the justice system. Now, you'll also find that if you have 38,000 remands, those are people who are not supposed to be in prison because their cases should be tried and they go away, or they are determined. Our biggest problem is not managing the convicted prisoners, but keeping the people who are innocent, can't be rehabilitated, yet they are not going out because their cases are not decided. Now, when you go on, of course, on that wheel of justice, they will tell you that a judge is allocated about 350 cases. That means he should be doing a case per day. No holiday, no weekend, no nothing. But is that practically possible? When some of these cases spend years, one case spends a year, but a judge is allocated 365 cases. So then they tell you that, you see, the judiciary is understaffed. By the way, generally, government, the staffing level of government is at 60%. But some of the institutions like us now, we are at 26%. So, and of course, is it possible for us to do the right staffing? It all goes back to the economy. Do we have the budget support for the proper staffing? And the answer is no. That's why, even when you talk about, what is interesting is that when you strengthen police, it conducts more operations, it arrests more people. But it increases the burden to the DPP, because the DPP, I'm told, he has about 1,000 files to peruse in a year, which is also practically very hard for a person that you have 1,000 files to clear in 365 days. That means you are supposed to be clearing an average of about 4 files per day. No weekend, no nothing. So those are some of the challenges which are within the system. So you end up finding that somebody who is supposed to spend, like after being committed to the High Court, you're supposed to spend not more than maybe 6 months, but the people can spend up to 4 or 5 years waiting for trial. Yeah, over time, these lower cases, especially these petty cases, have been handled because the number of magistrates have increased. But the biggest problem still remains with the capital offences. And that one is also partly because of the law. You know, the Constitution says all cases triable by the magistrate's court, the remand period is 60 days. After 60 days, this person should get a mandatory bail, which that one has not been a problem. It's being done now. But when it comes to the cases triable by the High Court, which are capital offences, it means that a person can spend up to 180 days, which is 1.5 years. Now, that wouldn't be the problem. But the law is silent on if after the prosecution have got their evidence and asked and said they were ready to prosecute, they are choosing how much should court delay the prosecution to present.
So we have cases, and I think I've seen those where the prosecution says they're ready, the defense says they're ready, but then they don't get a trial date. That is
because the trial is determined by court.
Yes.
The magistrate will tell you I'm still clogged. So now that's why you find that people are committed to the High Court. And even the law, the way it states, it said you are committed to the High Court and you wait for the next convenient session. Convenient to who?
Convenient is left hanging in balance. It can
to
be
who?
any time.
Can it be convenient to the accused who has already spent 1.5 years in prison waiting for trial? Convenient, maybe it's convenient to court. Can it be convenient to the one who is saying, I have got my evidence, let me present it and we get off this case? By the time they delay, if you can imagine that, like somebody committed a case of defilement. After 1.5 years is committed to the High Court. But this person is not tried for the next 3 years. If this girl was 17, it would mean that this girl would actually be 22.
He might even come out.
And chances are that this girl could even have gotten another man and got married.
Yes.
Can you call that girl to come and testify that this man defiled me? When even the man who married her does not know that she was defiled at 17.
So someone may spend more time on remand.
So at the time,
and at the end
she
of the day,
spend
the case is dismissed.
Then the case is dismissed. Not because this person is innocent,
Yes.
but because justice has been delayed.
Delayed.
And those are the challenges. But we can't blame anybody. It's just the wheel of justice. As long as it is slow, as long as we don't put in other mechanisms. There are even, of course, some mechanisms that have come, actually, which was very good in reducing these numbers of remands, because traditionally the number of remands was higher than the convicts. But projects like plea bargaining has helped a lot. Plea bargaining is where DPP and the court, they come and sensitize the prisoners, those who want to agree that they committed the offense, and they are given a lighter punishment in exchange so that they serve their sentence and go home. Now, two things have come up. Some people have remained on remand by refusing to say that they are not guilty. Those who have said guilty, even if they are not actually guilty, have served and left.
So what would you recommend?
So now,
Or on the offside, you're not a legal officer.
No. Now this one has caused panic and the anxiety among those ones who remain. They say, if the other one said, I did it and he went, then I should also say it when I did it then. Then that brings question on justice.
Because there are people that have
But
later
then,
on come out and
another
it's true
technical,
they were
problem comes in. If we are appealing for justice, who should be served first? The one who is stamping his chest that I did it, you do what you want to do, me I did it. Or the one who is telling you, please, I am innocent.
I think the person who is trying to say I'm innocent, we should investigate
But now,
to the
with the plea
court.
bargaining, it wants these ones who have accepted so that they quickly sentence them and they get them out of the justice
Now,
system.
Mr. Baine, looking at all the problems that are leading to the
I don't think they are problems, they are challenges.
They are challenges, okay. Looking at all these challenges that are leading to the overcrowding in all our prisons, what have you as prisons suggested to the government as a way to decrowd the prisons?
Well, of course, through discussions of the justice system, if you remember, there are some few laws which have been put off our bookshelf. You know, things like idle and disorderly, those, and they were taking, they looked simple, but they were carrying many people.
Yes.
Police would start like from Clock Tower and then sweep. By the time they reach the Constitutional Square, they have over 200 people that they are idle and disorderly. So some of those laws, that's why they have been put off the shelf to reduce the numbers. But two, we have been encouraging, of course, community service. The only challenge about community service is that the person who has to be committed to community service has to ask. In other words, you have to apply. But two, the conditions are also very hard because...
For community service?
Yes, because you must have a permanent place of abode.
Permanent in the sense of I own the place?
No, they have to, you can be picked, I mean, somebody can come and get where you are today, next year, and the other year. And that's why community service is more useful for the rural areas, because in the village you have a permanent place of abode.
But in Kampala we
But
rent.
when in urban areas today you are in Makindye, the landlord says, stop here, then now, and that's how people end up defaulting. And then therefore it means that even now the judiciary finds it a bit, they are relaxed and reluctant to give the community services.
Okay.
So, and that's why of course, we have been regularly even submitting lists for pardon because we think some of those who are about to finish their sentences, we have done our part and we think they can go. But of course, the whole thing goes back that we are not going to fight back congestion and succeed unless we do it as a multi-sectoral approach.
Okay.
Everybody must be involved, even including the community. That these cases that you see somebody is passing in somebody's compound, then that person goes to prison for a year because it is criminal trespass. Those things should be solved at the MC.
At the community level.
Yeah. And that's why actually the judiciary is trying to reactivate those alternative justice, the dispute resolutions. and ways of justice without necessarily having to push every case to the police and the DPP and the court.
Okay. Well, we are looking at the welfare of inmates, and I am speaking to Mr. Frank Baine Mayanja, who is the spokesperson Uganda prisons. Now, we've looked at the congestion in Uganda's prisons, and he has helped us to understand why this is a major problem they are facing, a major challenge that they are facing, and he also went deeply into the contributing factors to this challenge. But now, Mr. Baine, let's look at the health care. You did mention that when you have sick inmates, you take them to hospitals, the mothers
to begin
that are
with, every prison has a health worker.
Yes.
Of different grades. And normally, a case which is not managed is they call it referral. For us, we would call it escalation. I want to take you back that everybody thought when COVID came that very many prisoners would die because they were comparing the outside health systems with the prison systems. Yet we are entirely dependent on government. What government offers is what we get and is what we dispense. But everybody got shocked that by the end of COVID, we had only lost 3 prisoners and 2 staff. Yet very many numbers were dying in the so-called well-to-do hospitals. And
that's
the like.
Right.
And that's when actually everybody agreed that our systems may be looking low, but they are very adequate for the circumstances. And this issue of health normally comes in when some special people come who think every week they need to fly out for treatment and the like. Unfortunately for us, we don't have the jurisdiction to permit a person that you are in prison, then you board your plane, you go where you get treated and come back.
Okay,
for us, we are admitted
speaking about
within.
that, I would like for us to get broader on this issue,
Yes.
because I'm sure the viewer out there wants you to dig deeper into it.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of the events that have happened. That we recently lost the Kawempe North Member of Parliament,
Yes.
Muhammad Segirinya. He was incarcerated in Kitalia prison for quite some time, and
Actually,
it is alleged. That the prison services or even the other responsible agencies did not listen quickly when it was noted that he needed proper health care outside the prisons.
Well, first of all, I have to state this categorically, that by the time they bring you as a prisoner, we receive you as you are. There are no health miracles in the prison. If you come when you have like these terminal ailments which are not cured by simple treatment, don't expect us to perform miracles.
I understand that.
That is one. 2, and actually people should even thank us that we made every effort to ensure that Honorable Segirinya was treated when he was with us. He was in Chigo, he was in Makshon Bay, he was in Murago, got treated, until even those who are speculating that he should be dying with us. Of course, there are certain things as individuals, sometimes we also have to take responsibility. If you know you have an ailment and you know what you should do, sometimes deciding not to do it so that you attract attention may not solve your problem.
What happened with Segirinya while in incarceration?
Well,
Mr. Baine?
Of course, he had a medical condition, which was not new. But it's not my work to divulge the confidential medical condition. Fortunately, his medical history is there. Even those who want the truth, they can go to his medical doctor, who was already treating him by 2017. And the medical report was very clear. And the decision to have him released or not did not depend on prisons, because Honorable Segirinya was a remand. Every time he was needed in court applying for bail, we never failed to take him.
Okay.
And the decision to give him a bail
was not on you.
It was not lying in our hands.
Okay, that point I get. But at what point does the prison's authorities say, you know what, we need to maybe talk to the responsible authorities for this person to go get medical help outside of our premises?
You see, we have over I think, over 500 medical workers, including more than about 30 doctors. We make medical assessments. But the way the system works is that normally the lawyers of the accused ask court to have a medical report of their person, and it is on the recommendation of their medical person that this person can be granted bail. Now, for us, we have not failed to manage the convicts, because if a person is a convict, still, even if he is a convict and you have been given a term of imprisonment, you can only apply and say, me, I'm sick, I can't finish this sentence, and still court will what? Decide. The decision, for us, we are following instructions from court. By the way, every warrant from court, I wish I knew, next time I will come with you a copy of the warrant. It says, the superintendent of this prison, you are hereby commanded to receive. You are not requested to receive.
You're commanded.
And produce this person when needed. So, if you are commanded to receive and produce, does that one give you the liberty to say, now this person is sick, I have released? No. The release of a person in a prison is a procedure. And if this person is a remand, the matter rests with court. If a person is a convict, because there is a term of imprisonment, this person is supposed to serve in the prison, it is now the prison's administration to compute this sentence, because there is what we call remission, some cutoffs we give to this person as a result of hard work and discipline. And that's why we have about 4 dates. The first one is called the latest period of discharge. If this person did not get any day given to him, when does he get out of the prison? Then we have what we call the earliest date of discharge. We call it EPD. If this person go to remission, when does this person come out? But supposing, having under remission, this person misbehaved, then what is his final date of discharge? We call it FDR. And all these, especially the EPD and the LPD, is told to the prisoner when he is being admitted.
Okay.
Now, if you have those limitations, then you cannot say, because of health, this person must go. Now, for us, when we are compiling, because every month, I mean every year, we make a list of submission to the prerogative of mercy committee. And among the people that don't miss are those ones who need to be released on compassionate grounds, or what we call it the health grounds.
Or age.
Or age. Now, that one now goes through the prerogative of mercy. But still, it's not prisons. For us, we submit to the prerogative of mercy committees headed by the Attorney General. They select what they want. Then they tell the President that this can be forgiven, but the other ones can continue and finish their sentence. So the element of saying what is prisons doing to reduce the numbers is such a hard question for prisons to answer, because they only follow the guidelines as they have come from court or the orders which come from the fountain of honor through the prerogative of mercy committee.
Okay. Well, if you're just joining the conversation, I'm speaking to Mr. Frank Baine, who is the spokesperson Uganda Prisons, and we are looking at the welfare of inmates in all prisons across the country. We have looked at the congestion issue, we have looked at healthcare, and now, Mr. Baine, if you may, I would like for us to look at the recent events. You have among your inmates today one how should I call him? One prolific person when it comes to the politics of the country, and that is retired Dr. Kano Kizza Besigye. Retired Kano Dr. Kizza Besigye. And it's alleged that, first of all, do you allow prisoners to receive food from outside?
Well, as a rule, I think, if I remember, it should be section 68 and 9 of the Prisons Act. It is the function or the responsibility of Uganda Prison Service to provide food for all the inmates under them. But for purposes of human rights and slight privilege, a person can access food which is not prison's food.
Okay.
But that one is subjected to the discretion of the officer in charge.
All right. Now, saying
so that it must come in, it must be checked, and the officer in charge must be sure that it may not be a cause of the problem. Because you see, if I was in prison and you brought me food, whether raw or cooked, of course we don't allow cooked, we allow raw food. But you have your advanced system of putting poison in the food. Because not everybody who shouts, sorry, is actually sorry. Some are sorry because they want you dead fast. They are crying crocodile tears. If this person died in prison and post-mortem was carried out and shown that this person died of poison, then the officer in charge will be held responsible for poisoning what? Me.
Okay.
Now, that's why any food that comes in from any source must be subjected to scrutiny. And it's not a right, it's a privilege.
Okay, I understand that, Mr. Baine. Now, let's look at Kizza Besigye. It's alleged, and you may correct me if I'm wrong, but it is alleged that he was denied to have food brought
cut the
to
whole
him.
Story short.
Do you suspect that the people who want to bring him food want to poison him?
All those things which were said about retired Kanu Besigye were fake. Even the other day when the committee of the human rights went, they were talking things he didn't know. They were talking of him being on a hunger strike when he had finished eating.
What explains that picture we saw?
Of course, of course, you know, there are people who think politicking everything is the way to do. But prisons is a service. It was here even during the colonial days. Even tomorrow, Baine will be gone, but prison service will be there. Even those who think prisons is not doing its work, when they take power, they want the prisons because the prison has a function for the functionality of the entire government. And it is always, first of all, when you find, like now let's come to the case of retired Kanu. Upper prison has 3,000 people. How comes everybody is making noise about, those people are making noise about one person? You mean the other ones are not human beings?
Well, we don't know them. They are human beings.
You not knowing them does not stop them from being human beings.
Mr. Baine, this is what I'm trying to say. They are human beings, but people don't know them. They are talking about the person that they know. Is it
fair to premise your argument on one person?
No, here is that. No, I think, let me try to play devil's advocate here. Probably he is a representation of what happens there, because I've also been looking at other cases where other not known prisoners have alleged that they were maybe tortured while under incarceration, which brings us to our next point of conversation. We have had allegations of torture by some inmates. For instance, Kakwenza, when he came out, he said he had been tortured while in your premises. Was he telling lies? Are these people telling lies to make the prison system look bad?
Sometimes I have a problem with you, the media. Like the case of Kakwenza. Kakwenza, when he was brought from wherever he was brought to court, he put up his arm to show how he had been tortured.
Did he show that?
The first time he was appearing in court before he came to prison. Now, but the media up to tomorrow wants Baine from prisons to tell them where Kakwenza was tortured. Why didn't they ask the magistrate to ask where he was tortured when he put up his arm the first time he appeared from wherever he appeared from?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
Because you have not followed. You see, the first time Kakwenza appeared in court, he appeared with body marks.
Yes, on his back, on his legs.
By then he was not in prison.
But he said he got those while in prison. That's why I'm quoting him.
One good thing. All these guys who will tell you they are tortured in prison, when we are admitting you, we make sure we strip you naked and we take the photographs and we write.
Yes. So when you stripped him the first time.
That tomorrow when you come and say, I was tortured in prison, we bring the win.
Okay, you said when you're coming to prison, you strip them. And that's why those people who are speculating,
they will never go to court.
Mr. Baine, you said you strip them when they come to prison.
That is the rule.
Do you strip them when they are going out of prison to be sure that they left as they came?
I am telling you, and by the way, you should always pick interest in court. A number of times, the magistrate orders that prisons, I have received a complaint of injuries and torture marks.
Yes.
Go, treat, and bring back the report. Now, but when we are bringing the report, then the question is, why is this person tortured? We are receiving according to the orders of court. And we do our part. That's why I'm saying the one good thing that has saved us, that for us, we document every detail. Even when you are coming, we even count the number of your teeth.
And when you're leaving?
When you are leaving, if you go, we want you to go and arrange that my teeth were moved from prison, then we came and said, this is a book which was written when this man was with us.
I get the part where they are coming in. What I don't get, the answer I'm not hearing is when they are leaving.
When they are going out, why should we check them?
To prove that they came in and left to whoever, their families.
We only prove when they arrange in the public.
You see, Mr. Baine, I could enter prison today, God forbid, when I have all my nails. When I come, so you have proof that I had all my 10 fingernails.
Because we have the record.
Yes, but when I leave, when I don't have one of my fingernails, does your record show that too?
It will show that you had all your fingers, but now you have your fingers less. So you have your evidence.
Okay, anyway, Mr. Baine, let's move on.
But I would like to hear if the admission is clearly stating that you have one finger less,
yes,
and then when you go out and say, it so happened that one of my fingers got lost.
Okay.
And you see, they start so well. But when the truth starts coming out, they backtrack and then they give up. Because you see, torture is an act of law. It is even very lucrative. The compensation is so high and so sweet that everybody would want to run there and get that money. But they know when the evidence comes out, they will lose out.
Okay.
And that's why they always want to appeal to the public court, not the real court. And when they find my colleagues in the media who, when a dog bites man, it's not news. But when a news bites a dog, it's news. Then that is it.
When a man dogs are biting.
And I always tell this, that you see, a number of times, when people are being arrested in public, they are terrible, they are monsters, they are killers and the like. But as soon as they enter prison, then it is the prison officers who are terrible.
Okay.
They are the most inhuman.
Mr. Baine, we've come to the end of our conversation.
Become inhuman from when they are getting them?
They are terrible people.
But when they reach the prison, then the people who are keeping them are the worst.
Prison is supposed to be a place for reformation.
You arrest all of us prison officers and locals, then you get the criminals to managers. You get the criminals to managers.
Okay, Mr. Baine, we've come to the end because time is against us. But I have a comment coming in from James in Kitugum. He says, let our officer first tell Ugandans whether there are sessions for therapy for our inmates, preparing them to come and live with the community.
Yes, we have social workers and social workers, rehabilitation and reintegration officers, and they go through them. Actually, for us, our biggest problem are the remands, because remands are not supposed to be rehabilitated.
Okay, Mr. Baine.
They are innocent.
All right, your last comments.
Yeah, well, my last comment is that surely, as an institution, we cannot be working in the media every day. Prison is a family. 2, we are more interested in prisoners living, because if they are not there, we don't have a job. And it becomes unfair for those people to use their political intentions to tarnish the institution they need when they themselves will be in charge of this government.
All right, thank you so much.
So, but we don't invite people to come to our place, but we still have space for those who want to come, because we will come for whoever
You don't
comes.
have space, you're congested.
The space for the ones who
you will find it. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. I've really enjoyed having this conversation with Mr. Frank Baine, who is the spokesperson for the Uganda prisons, and we have been looking at the welfare of inmates. We have gone deeper into issues of torture, healthcare, nutrition, and even congestion. But you know, time is always of the essence, and we can't talk about everything else. But Mr. Baine is always available for us for a conversation. Thank you so much for coming through.
Okay. Have a nice morning.
Good morning, Uganda continues.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.